subscribe to my mommy's channel. Like, comment, and share.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Where is the Manual? It's your girl Kiki. And today I want to ask you a question. Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, who am I? Not because you don't recognize yourself, but because the woman looking back at you isn't the woman you thought you'd become 20 years ago. I don't know if it's because I'm in my 40s or because I became a mom after 40 or because life has humbled me a few times over the last few years, but I've been thinking a lot about identity, and not necessarily in a sad way. I would say more of a curious way, because I don't think I'm having an identity crisis anymore. I think I'm having an identity evolution. And I'm thinking now that those are two completely different things. You know what I realized? When we were kids, everybody asked us the same question. What do you want to be when you grow up? Think about that, right? Most people do not ask, who do you want to become? Those questions are not the same. What do you want to be is more of like, do you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, an entrepreneur, right? That's what you do. But who do you want to become? That's about your character, your values, the way you love, the way you show up, the way you recover after disappointment, the kind of parent you'll be, the kind of friend you'll become, the kind of peace you'll protect. Nobody really prepares us for that part. And I think that's why so many of us get to 40 and suddenly start asking, wait, who am I now? My 20s was like a movie. Can I be honest? I miss my 20s. I really do. Not because I want to be 20 again necessarily. Lord knows these knees can't handle that life anymore. But I do miss the freedom. I miss calling my friends on a Tuesday or a Thursday and say, what are y'all doing tonight? And 30 minutes later, we're already got our outfits together. Nobody had to check a calendar. Nobody had to find a babysitter. Nobody had to ask permission. Nobody had soccer practice or a dance recital pickup. Nobody had PTA meetings. You just went with the flow. We'd start at happy hour and then we'd end up somewhere else, then another place, then another. And before you knew it, it was like 3 or 4 in the morning. And somehow I'd get home, take a shower, change clothes, go to work, and fully function. How the heck did we do that? Because if I tried that now, I'd need at least 3 business days to recover. That's the version of life that I kind of miss. I miss traveling without planning 6 months ahead. I miss seeing a cheap flight and saying, hey girl, you want to go on this trip? It's so-and-so, let's go. And they say, yep. And we booked and we gone, right? No school calendars, no packing snacks, no figure out who's watching my child, no checking if work is going to allow PTO because we just moved, just living. And dating, whew. Listen, let's tell the truth. Back then, I wasn't interviewing anybody. I wasn't asking about emotional intelligence. I wasn't asking about parenting philosophy. I wasn't asking how they'd handle conflict, right? I wasn't asking what kind of father they'd be. No, if he was fine, he made me laugh, he looked good, he smelled good. Okay, cool. Let's do dinner, right? It was simple. Life felt so light, not shallow, but just light, because the future didn't feel like it was some sense of urgency. You really believed that you had forever to figure things out. And then, of course, something shifted. Right? 30 showed up and nothing magical happened overnight, right? But it definitely started to change. I still wanted to travel, still wanted my trips, right? Still wanted to hang out with my friends, do brunch, go out, have drinks, still wanted to hear music and dance, still wanted to enjoy life. But another voice got louder: career, purpose, impact. Now I'm thinking, how do I get promoted? How do I make more money? How do I lead? How do I build something? How do I create a life I'm proud of? The fun didn't disappear. It just wasn't the only thing that I was thinking about anymore. And dating changed too, right? Don't get me wrong. I still appreciated the handsome man, but let's not act brand new. But now I started to notice different things, right? Can we communicate? Do you have integrity? Are you emotionally available? Because Lord knows we run into all those emotionally unavailable people. Can we actually solve problems together? Could we build a peaceful life? Because suddenly the future wasn't just an hypothetical thing anymore. It became real. Too real. Then, of course, my 40s changed everything. I became a mother. And if you've listened to this podcast before, you know motherhood didn't just add another title. It rearranged my entire life. I don't think just in weekends anymore. I think in school years, right? I think about spring break, winter break, half days, summer camp, teachers' conferences. I never knew there were so many school events. Everything has to be planned now. Everything. And here's what surprised me. I still miss my 20s. I still miss that spontaneity. Sometimes I miss deciding at 5 o'clock that, oh, girl, let's catch this flight real quick. There's this cheap flight. Let's go. Let's get on it. Sometimes I miss getting dressed just because I felt like going out. Sometimes I miss only having to worry about me. And I used to feel so guilty, and actually I'm still feeling a little guilty about that. Like becoming a mom meant I wasn't allowed to miss my old life. But really, that is actually not true. I think two things can be true at the same time. I can absolutely love being a mom and still miss parts of the woman I used to be. Missing a season doesn't necessarily mean you want to live there again, right? You just miss the season, and that meant that season just mattered, right? Like it had meaning. And you know what's interesting? We spend so much time talking about getting older like it's something to fear, especially as women, right? People make jokes about turning 30, then 40, then 50. Like every birthday is somehow taking away something from us. But what if like every decade isn't taking something, right? What if it's actually giving us something? Maybe my 20s gave me freedom. Maybe my 30s gave me confidence. Maybe my 40s actually gave me or giving me wisdom. And who knows what my 50s will bring, but I'm hoping it's going to give me some peace. I don't think enough people talk about the grieving that comes with growth, because every time you become someone new, you kind of lose someone else, right? Not in a bad way, just kind of like naturally. The woman who could pack a suitcase in an hour and fly to another country because she found a good deal, she's still there. She just now has to check the school calendar first and may not be able to do that, right? The woman who could stay out dancing until 4 a.m, she's still there too. She just wants a comfortable pair of shoes, a place to sit, some good food, and probably be home by 11. She's just not gone, right? Like that's the thing. She's evolved. I think that's the mistake we make. We think growth means becoming someone completely different. It really doesn't. Growth means bringing every version of yourself with you. The carefree woman, the ambitious woman, the heartbroken woman, the woman who lost confidence, the woman who rebuilt herself, the mother, the entrepreneur, the leader. They're all me. None of them were a mistake. None of them need to be erased, as painful as some of it could be. They were all preparing me for the woman I'm becoming now. I used to think every chapter of life had to look better than the one before it. Now I just don't, right? Because honestly, some things were better in my 20s. They just were. I had more freedom, less responsibility, less pressure. I wasn't constantly thinking 5 steps ahead. I wasn't responsible for another human. I didn't have to think about costs of extracurricular activities or after school programs or doctor's appointments, or even making sure that someone else was emotionally okay before I checked in with myself. Sometimes I could just be, and I miss that. I think we need to normalize saying that, because somewhere along the way, society convinced women that once you become a mother, you're supposed to pretend you don't miss your old life. Like why? Why is that? Why can't both of those things happen, right? Why can't I absolutely adore being a mom and still miss being able to decide on a Friday afternoon if I want to go to happy hour or take a trip, right? They just shouldn't have to cancel each other. They're just different seasons. And here's something motherhood has taught me. Time has become most valuable currency. When I was younger, money felt like the goal. Now, time is, because I can always make more money. I can't make more time to attend first grade shows and show up for my baby. I can't make more bedtime stories, right? I can't get back the years when my daughter still wants to hold my hand in public. Those moments have an expiration date, as much as we like to think it doesn't, right? And nobody tells you that before you become a parent. One day they want you to read them the same book every single night, and then the next day they don't, right? One day they run into your bed because they had a bad dream. Then one day they just stop. Though it hasn't quite stopped for me yet. One day they think you're the funniest person in the world, and then you become the most embarrassing person to them. Those moments disappear, but quietly. You don't even realize it's the last time until it's already happened. That's why my priorities have changed. Not because I became less ambitious, but because I became more intentional. And that's the difference, right? People ask me all the time, what kind of job are you looking for? And I laugh because years ago, my answer would have been the biggest title, the biggest team, the biggest paycheck, right? And now I'm asking different questions. Will this allow me to be present for my daughter? Will I have flexibility? Will I constantly be stressed? Because Lord knows I don't need that. Will I be able to travel? Because I still need to travel. And will I have peace? Because success has changed for me, I don't want to spend my whole life climbing a ladder and then only to realize it was leaning against the wrong damn building. I think so many of us are chasing a version of success we created in our 20s, right? Without realizing we're just completely different people now. Maybe the 25-year-old you wanted the corner office, but what does the 45-year-old want, right? Is it to leave work on time for dinner? Maybe the 25-year-old you wanted everybody to know your name, but maybe the 45-year-old you just wants peace, right? Maybe that 25-year-old you wanted to be busy. Now, what you want? To be present, right? Neither version is wrong. They're just answering different questions. And I wonder sometimes how many of us are holding on to dreams that don't even belong to the person we've become. Maybe we're chasing them simply because we said we wanted them years ago. Maybe we've actually outgrown them. And that's okay. You're allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to redefine success. You're allowed to want different things. You're allowed to outgrow the life you once prayed for. That doesn't make you ungrateful. It makes you honest. When I look at my daughter, I hope one day someone asks her that different question, right? Not just, what do you want to be when you grow up? I hope someone would ask her, and I'm definitely going to do so, who do you want to become? Because I want her to know that becoming a kind person matters, being emotionally healthy matters, having integrity matters, learning how to apologize matters. That's a big one. Being curious matters, protecting your peace matters, having joy matters. The career, obviously that's important too, right? Because you have to survive, you have to live. But it shouldn't be the only thing that defines you, because one day that job changes. That job may fail you. The title may change. The company may change. The children grow up. Life changes. Who you are is what will stay. I've been thinking a lot about my 50s lately, right? Not because I'm trying to rush through my 40s. Trust me, I'm not. Though it's kind of knocking on the door. But because I finally realized something, the woman I'm going to be at 50 is being created by the decisions I'm making today. She just doesn't magically just appear, right? She becomes the result of what I choose to do in these moments. And that has me thinking, who do I want her to be? Not what do I want her to have? Who do I want her to be? Because for so much of my life, I focused on achievements, right? The degree, the promotions, the title, the next opportunity, the next salary, the next accomplishment. And don't get me wrong, I'm proud of all the things I've achieved thus far. I have worked super hard for it. Nobody handed me anything. But I've realized something though. Those things tell people all the things I've done, right? They don't tell people who I really am. So who do I want to become? I want to become a woman who has peace, and I mean real peace, not the kind of peace that depends on everything going right, right? The kind of peace that stays even when my life doesn't. I want to become a woman who laughs often, who still dances, right? Who never loses her joy. I want to become the kind of woman my daughter feels safe calling about anything, not because I have all the answers, but because she knows I'll listen before I judge. I want her to remember a mother who was present, not perfect, but present, because she's not going to remember all the toys I bought her. She probably won't even remember every outfit. She won't remember all the expensive vacations I've taken her on, but she'll remember how she felt with me. Was she safe? Did she feel heard? Did she feel celebrated? Did she know she can always come home? That's the legacy I want. I also want to become a woman who still says yes to herself, because somewhere along the way, women are taught that selflessness is the highest form of love. We pour into everyone else's life, our children, our job, our families, our friends, and then we wonder, why do we feel so unhappy and empty? I've learned that pouring into myself isn't selfish. It's absolutely necessary. I want my daughter to grow up seeing a mother who has things to do, hobbies, who travels, who laughs with her friends, who tries new things, who doesn't stop dreaming just because she's become somebody's mom. Because I don't want her to grow up believing motherhood means disappearing, and Lord knows I've disappeared. I want her to see that motherhood can actually expand you. To the women in their 20s, enjoy it, travel, dance, laugh, make mistakes, learn from it, learn yourself. You're becoming, right? To the women in the 30s, build, dream bigger, take risks, ask for that raise, start that business, date intentionally. You can have both joy and ambition. And to the women in their 40s, stop apologizing because you've changed. You're supposed to. Growth isn't a betrayal, it's maturity. To the women in their 50s and beyond, woo-wee, yes, thank you for showing us that life doesn't end at 50 or 60, right? Sometimes that's where it truly begins. You know what I think about my identity crisis? Right? It wasn't that I didn't know who I was. It was that I was trying to hold on to versions of myself that had already done their job, right? The 20-year-old taught me joy. The 30-year-old taught me ambition. The 40-year-old is teaching me intention. I don't need to choose between them. I get to carry all of that with me. They're all part of my story. Before we end, I want to leave you with a few questions. Who are you becoming? What version of yourself are you holding on to because it just feels familiar to you? What version of yourself is waiting for permission to show up? If success wasn't measured by titles, how would you define it? Right? I started this episode by saying that no one ever asks, who do you want to become? So today, I'm asking you, who are you becoming? Maybe that's just a better measure of life well lived. I can miss the woman who danced until 4 a.m., booked flights on a whim, lived without a care in the world. And I can also love the woman who now plans around school calendars, cheers at school events, right? Builds a business, treasures quiet evening with her child. Neither woman is better. They're simply chapters of the same story. And I'm excited to see what the next chapter holds. Until next time, this is Kiki reminding you that there might not be a manual, but there is beauty in becoming.
Subscribe to my mommy's channel, like, comment, and share. See you on next time.